Hello, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thanks for tuning in. Every now and then, I ask you for your opinion, then I go and make a video about your opinion. So you're tuning in to watch a video about your own opinion. Now that's content. So this time I asked you which designer fragrance brand you think is the best. So let's find out. Spoiler, my number one isn't the same as your number one. Pick one designer fragrance brand you think is the best. Pretty simple question, right? Well, that's what I thought, but evidently not, because quite a few of you struggled just to pick one. And you know when I said one? Well, some of you picked 2, 3, 4. Guys, how am I supposed to use that comment in a video like this? I needed one so I could pick the number one fragrance brand. For those of you who could commit to picking just one, your vote was counted, so let's see what you thought. Bear in mind, the majority of my audience is male, so the votes are likely to be mainly based on male fragrances. As always in these videos, I've decided to focus on the top 3, and there was a massive rift between the top 3 fragrances and the rest. They were by far the most popular, accounting for 66% of the overall votes. The brand you voted for as the 3rd best fragrance brand of all time is French. They released their first fragrance in 1921, associated with class and quality. It's Chanel. No surprise, Chanel is in the top 3, very popular house, known for masculine classics such as Antaeus and Paul Monsieur, then more modern releases like the Allure and Bleu de Chanel lines, and like most designer brands, they have their higher priced luxury line called Les Exclusives. It's probably the Allure and Bleu de Chanel lines that have kept Chanel relevant and popular in modern times. Bleu is a fresh, clean, classy, modern man smell. Allure is a bit sweeter, more fun, more youthful, leaning towards the younger end of the market perhaps, whereas Bleu de Chanel maybe leans towards the older end of the market. So they've got the whole market covered really with their modern releases. I only own 5 Chanel fragrances, which may seem a lot for some people, but compared to the number of fragrances I own from the number 1 and the number 2 brands, it isn't that many. My favorites are any of the Bleu de Chanel iterations and Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. I feel like though we need a new original release from Chanel. There's been quite a few flankers over the years. I think it's time, Chanel, you can do it. The world will be waiting excitedly for the next Chanel original men's fragrance release. So hopefully that will be coming pretty soon. You could argue that if Chanel had a bit more of an eclectic range, if they had a little bit more choice, a few more original releases, that Chanel could have come higher than just number 3. But as it stands, you voted Chanel as your 3rd best designer fragrance brand. Let's find out who is at the number 2 spot. The brand that you voted as the 2nd best designer fragrance brand of all time is actually the brand that I own the most fragrances from. With 18% of the overall votes, it's the house that gave us game changers like Oud Wood and Black Orchid, which was Tom Ford's first fragrance release in 2006. Signature line successes followed with Tom Ford for Men, Grey Vetiver, Noir, Noir Extreme, more recently Ombre Leather. The signature line is impressive in itself, but on top of that, what Tom Ford maybe is even more famous for is the private blend. Oud Wood, Tuscan Leather, Noir de Noir, Neroli Portofino, the list goes on. I think many people probably love the Tom Ford brand because it is synonymous with bold, daring releases, statement-making fragrances like Tuscan Leather, like Tobacco Oud. It's hard to find another designer house that will take risks. I know the private blend is their higher priced luxury collection, but if you look at Chanel's Les Exclusives, I think there's definitely more risks taken in the Tom Ford private blend, and I certainly love the house for that. I love the bold choices. And there's something for everyone. There's very easy to wear, light, bright, citrus, fresh fragrances like Neroli, Portofino and Mandarino, the Amalfi, and then all the way at the bottom end, we've got the darker fragrances like Tobacco Oud Intense. While some people may argue there's maybe a few misses in the Tom Ford lineup, more so in recent years, the majority are hits. I think most of the Tom Ford releases proved to be very popular fragrances. Considering Chanel had an 85-year head start, I think it's pretty impressive that the Tom Ford brand has come so far in such a short space of time, beating Chanel by being voted by you as the 2nd best designer fragrance brand of all time. Finally, it's time to reveal the number 1 designer fragrance brand. It's a French brand. They released their first fragrance in 1947. Big leap in votes between Tom Ford and this house. Actually, nearly double the amount of people voted for this brand with a whopping 32% of overall votes. It's Dior. Someone in their comments said they were voting for Dior as the #1 because they just released banger after banger, and I'd have to agree. Eau Sauvage and its flankers setting the bar high for classy men's perfume, taking the world by storm with Fahrenheit, and then doing it again with Sauvage. My personal favourite is the Dior Homme line. We've got the original Dior Homme, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Eau for Men, Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme Cologne. These are mind-blowingly good fragrances, and the Dior Homme line is just one line within the Dior brand that contains many other fantastic lines of fragrances. I've always been impressed with Dior's creativity and quality. I think as a designer house that wants to appeal to the masses, to the mainstream, to release crowd pleasers, I feel like they do take a few risks. I think their artistry is something that should be applauded. They come up with new original fragrances time after time. The use of iris in the Dior Homme line was revolutionary and has been adopted by many other fragrance brands since. It's an accord that's loved for its flamboyant metrosexual character. Dior also have a higher end luxury line as well, of which there are some classics which many people really love. Stunning fragrance house, many masterpieces under its belt. Dior, your #1 designer fragrance brand. Is it my #1 though? No, it's not, but it's close. I'd have to go with Tom Ford. I own 12 fragrances from Dior, 17 from Tom Ford, and I just really love the bold sexiness of the Tom Ford brand. I love that it's a house that can have you covered for every possible situation. You've got the citrusy, fresh fragrances all the way down to the darker, intense fragrances. Tom Ford release fragrances more prolifically. I think their range is more eclectic. There's so many to choose from, so many game-changing, mind-blowing fragrances. It's just a brand that I really connect with. Don't get me wrong, if I could only ever have Dior fragrances for the rest of my life, I would be more than happy. I love the brand, and I can't wait to see what game-changing masterpieces Dior have for us in the future. But I just feel the Tom Ford brand has more up its sleeve. I think it's more likely that Tom Ford is going to release a fragrance that's going to blow my mind more so than Dior, but that remains to be seen. So overall, my favourite is Tom Ford, but only just. A few other mentions that didn't make the top 3. In 4th, quite surprisingly, was Armani. Now the votes did tend to combine Giorgio with Emporio, so within that we have the Code line and the Stronger With You line. So Armani got a lot of love. 5th was Galan, but this is a difficult brand to classify as designer. They do release some makeup products. Some people think they're niche, some people think they're designer, but in terms of their scents and their pricing, I think Galan fragrances do align with the designer realm. YSL was 6th and Versace was 7th. This was great. I love hearing your opinions. Thank you so much to those of you who voted. If you want to see a niche version of this list, then let me know in the comments. And when I ask for a vote, when I say pick one, just a reminder, just pick one. It's there in the question. One is one. And then your vote will count. Let me know what you think of these top 3 brands. Do you agree? If you don't and you didn't vote, then next time make sure you do vote so your voice is heard. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.